Factoring with a values over 1. Factor with a values over 1. So in this case, our a value, which is the leading coefficient, is 4. Now notice, these numbers are kind of big. So I always recommend reducing or taking out a GCF. First, factor out a GCF. So I'm going to see if all of those numbers are divisible by 4. If they are, I'm going to remove that GCF or factor it out. Obviously, 4 divided by 4 is 1, so that works. 88 divided by 4, that's 22, so that works. 92 divided by 4, does that work? Yes, 23. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is factor out a 4, which means put that 4 in front. I'm left with a j squared plus 22j minus 23. And look at that. Now I can factor that. What multiplies to negative 23, but also adds to 22? Obviously, that is going to be 23 and 1. So positive 23 and negative 1. So my 4 stays on the outside. You found those two numbers that multiply to the c value, but also add to the b value. So negative 23 is 23 times 1. So it's going to be j plus 23 and j minus 1. And that right there is going to be your answer. That's what you type in. You're going to literally, on this box right here, you're literally going to do 4, and you're going to do j plus 23, and you're going to do j minus 1 inside that little box. And that's going to be your answer. All right, good job. Moving on. Always look for a GCF. Always. All right, this one right here. Again, big numbers. Let me see if they all can be divided by 7. So I'm just going to do 7 divided by 7. Yep, that's obviously 1. 98 divided by 7. Okay, that's 14. 91 divided by 7. There we go, 13. All right, so again, take out the GCF. In this case, it is 7. Take out the GCF of 7. I'm left with an x squared plus 14x plus 13. All right, now to factor the rest of it. What multiplies to 13 but adds to 14? 13 times 1. So 7 follows along. X plus 13, x plus 1. And that right there is what you would type into your answer. All right. Next. Okay, in this case, look at this. There is no GCF. There is no GCF. So we have to use what's called the AC method. The AC method. Instead of asking yourself, what multiplies to 4 but adds to a negative 11, what multiplies to 4 and adds to negative 11, we have to ask ourselves, what multiplies to 24? That's called AC. This is the AC method. All right. What multiplies to 24 and adds to negative 11? All right. So it's not just 4 anymore. You got the A value. You have to include that now. So you're asking yourself this question now. What multiplies to 24? A times C. It's called the AC method, but adds to negative 11. All right. So let me just write that down. What multiplies to 24 and adds to negative 11. All right. So that's going to be negative 8 and negative 3. Negative 8 and negative 3. All right. So now that you have those two numbers, this is the way you're going to approach it. Just use those two numbers to rewrite the middle term. And then we're going to do this thing called factoring by grouping. It's a little easier than what you did before, but I'll show you. So use those two numbers that you found to rewrite that middle term. So again, starting over AC method, multiply the A value, leading coefficient, by the constant. That's called AC. So we get 24. Then ask yourself the question, what multiplies to 24 but adds to negative 11? Okay, the numbers are negative 8, and negative 3. Okay, so rewrite that equation. 6u squared, now watch this, minus 8u minus 3u. I rewrote the middle term. Negative 11 is really negative 8 and negative 3. Keep the plus 4. So one more time, I probably lost some of you guys. Negative 11, here it is. See, I'm circling it. Negative 11 is really negative 8 and negative 3. It's still the same exact equation. I'm not changing anything. I'm just rewriting it. All right. So now I'm going to group the first two and group the second two. Group the first two and group the second two. So group the first two, group the second two. Now bring out a GCF of both of those. Okay, GCF of the first is just 2u. I'm left with a 3u minus 4. The GCF for the second one, there is no GCF, it's just 1. So I'm going to pull out a negative 1. I'm left with a 3u minus 4. All right, so when I say pull out or take out, I mean divide. Divide out a negative 1. So if you take right here, divide that by negative 1, you get positive 3. Divide this by negative 1, you get negative 4. All right, so there you go. And now it's factored. You did it. You're done. So your factors are going to be 2u minus 1. There's one factor. 2u minus 1. And your other factor is 3u minus 4. 3u minus 4. And that right there is going to be your answer that you're going to put in this little box and say, okay, go. So one more time, starting from the beginning. 6u squared minus 11u plus 4. There is no GCF. So we're going to use the AC method, multiply a times c, then ask that question that you're familiar with. What multiplies to 24 but adds to negative 11? You get your two numbers, negative 8, negative 3. Rewrite the middle term. Rewrite the middle term. Then factor the first two terms and the second two terms. So you're not factoring the whole giant 4-term thing. Just the first two and the second two. Just take out the GCF of each. So the GCF of this first one right here is just a 2 and a u. A 2u, okay? So you get a 3u minus 4. The second one, it's just 1. There is no GCF, so we just take out a negative 1 because it's negative, right? See that negative right there? It's negative. So I'm going to take out negative 1, and I'm left with a 3u minus 4. They match up. So those are your two factors, 2u minus 1 and 3u minus 4. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Again, no GCF in this one, so I'm going to use the AC method. Here's a nice little quick review for you. A times c is 10. So I'm asking myself, what multiplies to 10 but adds to 7? Okay, that's obviously 5 and 2. 5 and 2. That's a nice easy one. So rewrite that middle term. So I'm going to have same exact question, 2x squared. But I'm not going to write 7x anymore. I'm going to write 5x. Actually, let me do that in a different color. I'm not going to write 7x anymore. I'm going to write 5x plus 2x. You see that's still 7x, but it's not written as a 7. Plus 5, keep that number in the end. Now, GCF. GCF of the first two, GCF of the second two. So I'm going to put parentheses here, parentheses here. All right. GCF of that first one is just x. So I'm left with a 2x plus 5. GCF of the second one, there is nothing, so I'm just going to pull out a 1. Divide out a 1. I'm left with, again, 2x plus 5. And those are your factors. Okay, so, excuse me. X plus 1 is a factor, and 2x plus 5 is a factor. X plus 1 is a factor. That's going to be one of your answers, and 2x plus 5. Oh, I can't write that plus sign. That's what you're going to put inside this little box, and hit OK, and be done. Oh, wow. That was it. All right, guys. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Have a lovely day.